attending or involved in any capacity at the UNFCCC event, including in its setup or delivery. By attending or being involved in any capacity at UNFCCC event, participants agree to abide by the code of conduct. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, here you can see how it looks and what wording includes code of conduct. And now let's go to the slide with care principles. I guess that for the third day, you already know that we have some care principle for all our meeting as adopted by FWG 14. It means that we speak with care, we listen with care, we practice awareness and humility, ensure inclusive and accessible participation, value and bridge diverse knowledge systems. May I have next slide? So now let's go to the agenda items for today. You all have already participated in Climate Week activities. So thank you very much for those who was active, who reported, who moderated, who helped with interpretation. Thank you very much. And now we have our afternoon agenda, and this is our own mandated event. It means that we now in biregional gathering. Let's take a closer look at today's agenda. We will start today's program with a living cultural and ceremonial practice from Ms. Pema Wangwa Lama, knowledge holders from Asia. We will then invite participants to share reflection from day 2 and 3, including your participation in the relevant Climate Week activities. We then proceed to Module 4 on input on the global stocktake process through the LCIPP work. Following a sense-sitting presentation, you will be invited to engage in small group discussion to co-create FWG inputs to the global stocktake process. We will return to plenary to share reflection from your small group discussion before moving to the coffee, tea, and break. Next, we will dive into Module 5 on the impact of LCIPP work. Similar to Module 4, after the sense-setting presentation, you will be invited to engage in small group discussions to co-create submission on the impact of the work of the LCIPP. We will then hear reflection from small group discussion in plenary. And of course, we understand that someone from you are here for the very first time, and we have some special question for our new members and for our new participants and knowledge holders. We will end the day with reflection on day 3 and preview of tomorrow. Before you leave this afternoon, please join us for a group photo. Now it's my pleasure to invite Ms. Pema Wangwa Lama to share some living cultural and ceremonial practices. Ms. Lama, please take the floor.
Indigenous greetings, everyone. Tashitili again. I'm Pema. I come from Mugum Indigenous Nations from the Western Mountains of Nepal. So for the ceremony, in my community, actually, we used buckwheat flour, but I knew that we could not throw it in this room. So I'd like to request everyone to get a clean cup of water, please. I think we have a water dispenser outside. Can we get a clean cup of water for everyone? Yeah, a cup of water. Everyone, can you bring your own cup of water from outside? Including me.
Yeah. Очень браво. Just like this morning.
Just a little water.
It's okay, yeah.
Not very hard. And I'd also like to request everyone, whoever can stand, to stand and maybe just sit in a circle. It does not have to be a circle exactly, but just so that everyone can face each other. Yeah. Um, so usually whenever we start our festivals and any important thing, we usually pay respects to many elements of our territories. First, we pay respect to our elders, like whoever have come before us, our grandfathers, our mother, parents, and everyone who have come before us. Then we pay respect to our territories, our physical territories, our land, our soil, our rocks, our hills, our mountains. And then at the end of it, we pay respect to our non-physical deities, whoever have left, whoever protect us, those who have experienced as well as those who have not been able to experience. So we pay respect to all those spirits. So we usually call shwe shwe whenever we do this. So for the purpose of the logistics of this room, I'd like to do this with water. So when I call the first sway, everyone please remember everyone who have come before you. And for this purpose, it's not just about our own ancestors, but even the elders who have paved this path for UNFCCC as well, all the elders who have come before us and created that space. So at first sway, please remember them. At second sway, please remember your physical territories, your homes, your lands, and everything that surrounds you back home. And after that, at the end of it, please remember all the spirits, every non physical things that protect us, everything that supports us, and also all the energies that we bring in these spaces. So I'd like to request everyone to close their eyes and remember the things that I've shared and do this way. So you could just do this, like dip your hand and just do this at every sway. So please close your eyes and please navigate your cups yourselves. I'd like to request everyone to close your eyes. Sway. And you can also chant the sway together with me. Sway. Sway. You all can open your eyes at your own convenience. Thank you. So the water, actually we either use water or buckwheat flour. And why we're sprinkling it is because we're sending our prayers back to the nature and back to everyone who's around us. So that's what it means. And this is our holy, what do you call it, khada scarf, which I'm probably going to place it somewhere at the table. Also respecting this space and wishing for the success of the space as well. Thank you. Sujishe.
Maybe we put it on the podium here.
Miss Pema, thank you very much for bringing our, yeah, yes, it's time for that. You brought our attention to the fact that water is very, very important. Yeah, thank you. So now I invite participants to reflect on the afternoon yesterday and morning today. I know that you were active, so please raise your hands and share your reflection. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Kozia, for the opportunity. So my name is Mithun, and I'm from Bangladesh. Uh, so for the reflection of climate week for the day yesterday, yeah, it's very nice experience for me uh, because for my job purpose or do work with the community, uh, I am following the climate change in last 11 years. But this is the first time I attend LCIPP meeting is formally. But previously, I was in Dubai and also I joined in the knowledge holder meeting and youth dialogue. And virtually, I follow every meeting and the process of LCIPP. So my experience is that in regarding this climate week yesterday, I attended the NAP Expo because in my country, my responsibility is to follow the policy and ensuring the effective engagement of indigenous peoples. So during the discussion in the NAP, we have a lot of questions there in the NAP Expo when the panelists were discussed and also during the discussion in the table. So I honestly say that during the group discussion, I enforcing to put my question when we uh, making a question, all of question in a single question. So I'm happy that yesterday who was from the GCF, he responded our question that indigenous peoples might be included in the next phase, the board meeting as for the climate finance access rather than NAP. And second thing is that uh, today I attend also the loss and damage. Uh, so in that discussion, my reflection was that to focus on our non-economic losses. So yeah, Pema also shared some of the things that how we practicing in terms of indigenous knowledge to protect our livelihood and ecosystem. So this is one of the good reflection that we shared from our Asia in the loss and damage discussion. And another one is that um, I was supposed to be in action for it was in action for climate empowerment, but I was changed my engagement and I also attend in the climate marketplace. So this event because I want to learn about this NDC process. So there I see that um, all of the panelists discussion give the priority to the private sector in the discussion, but they don't give us the floor to ask the question there. Why actually they put the more enforce to the private sector? Why not for the NGOs and other sector? Because they are channeling our discussion about the finance and NDC process. So that was my question there, but I cannot ask the question in there. So if have any chances to share. So I think from the LCIPP, so it can be put in the discussion. Thank you.
Mithun, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for your leadership on breaking the ice in our reflection rounds, and happy that you joined LCIP event for your first time. And it's cool that you find something very useful for you. So I see the next hand, please. Yes, then Dr. Stitsenko. Yes, you are second. Yeah. So it's your turn now.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, yes, from my experience, yesterday I participated in the regional NAP Expo also in the Benicia Hotel. So, in this program, I found very interesting in a moment when actually we were posing questions to the funders who actually are the biggest stakeholder in the realm of the development. So you see, we received, we got Asian Development Bank representative there, and also we got representative from the GCF. So during our discussion with them, we actually asked several questions to them. So one of them was, what guidelines do the funders provide to the state and non-state actors regarding the indigenous inclusion there in terms of supporting the projects? Um, and at the same time, we also asked how do they monitor if the inclusion actually happen in project implementation process. And at the same time, we also asked them what grievance readjustment mechanism they have if the indigenous peoples get harmed by the project supported by those funders. So we received very satisfactory response from the GCF, Green Climate Fund. So they already introduced advisory body, which is called Indigenous Peoples Advisory Group. And right now, they are trying to develop this body so that the indigenous peoples can access to the Green Climate Fund directly without any kinds of endorsement of the government. Because, you know, in many countries, the indigenous peoples don't have the recognitions, official recognitions from the government. Or, like in Bangladesh also, we don't have the official recognitions in our constitution as indigenous peoples. So that's why actually we asked, we posed those questions. So the responses from the GCF was satisfactory. But in terms of the response of Asian Development Bank, it was not satisfactory enough. But we tried to force or emphasize on to have policy on the indigenous inclusion for the Asian Development Bank also, because they do support to the state and non-state actors in different parts of the regions. So that's all from my side. It was really fruitful and effective sessions yesterday. And another thing I want to say as my concluding remarks, that I found that you see in our every session of LCIPP meeting, we starts with a ceremony like what we did with Pema Wangamalama before few minutes ago. But in the other sessions, like in NAP expo sessions and also other sessions, I didn't find some things that is ceremonial. So I think that indigenous peoples and also the local communities, they have the spiritual thoughts of what we actually have been practicing in our LCIP meeting also. So thank you very much from my side.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that you raised yesterday on NAPA Expo very interesting and important questions, because yes, it's not only one region, this issue that not all people are recognized as indigenous peoples, but for that we as a body or as a platform have like a way to invite you like a local communities representative. That is all that what we can do at this moment. Thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Stitsenko, and then Aida.
Большое спасибо, организаторам за то, что собрали нас в этих
Many
залах.
thanks to the organizers who gathered us here, who invited us here. And I'm grateful to the organizers for the great job they've accomplished. And we have so many like-minded people here, and it's very pleasant for me to see here the people who are dealing with similar issues, challenges in different countries. I see similarity in traditions, in the way of thinking, and I heard about many topical issues of different people, and they're very similar in different countries. And of course, they have to be solved. And big accomplishment of the organizers is that you gather us together and allow us to discuss these topics, and therefore this could lead to solutions. Yesterday was of great importance to me because I saw lots of like-minded people who are all focusing on reforestation in different countries. And thanks to you, we could keep in touch with them and have a business relationship. And this is very important. The actions of us people populating this earth are such minimalistic, but the groups who deforest territories or who provoke fires, the scale of their activities are so huge. In our country, it's so huge that nobody is even speaking about it. In Yakutia, in different regions, 10 million, dozens of millions of hectares can be destroyed, but only a couple of thousands would be restored. So therefore, the scale is very different. And sometimes it's possible to restore our forests, but it's very important to use progressive methods to restore our forests, especially in mountainous regions. And the fact that you organized a session devoted to forestation, to reforestation is very important, is very good, because we have created a number of useful contacts. And also after the presentations, representative of our Ministry of Economic Development approached me, and this creates hope. And I believe that this is not just Russia's topical issue, but also a problematic issue for many countries, because the industrial lobby is focusing on business projects, um, but the local population suffers from that. So we must find appropriate solutions for that, and we can do it all together. Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrei. I fully agree with you, and I see how in front of our eyes people find new contacts, new like-minded people, new allies, and we see new projects being born in front of us. We are very grateful to the organizers, to the members of the working group, and for us, it was very important to select right participants and to see that you're not just active implementing very interesting projects, but you're also very nice people. This is my personal assessment, of course. Thank you very much. Good day to you. And I'm also very grateful for being able to participate in this event, very interesting event. And I believe that the session on sharing experience is very important. It was very interesting to learn what people are doing, especially for those who are for whom it's the first participation in such events, and what we should do is to prepare better to participate in such events. I have already voiced that, but I would like to share the following proposal, maybe to organize some sort of preliminary preparation sessions where we could learn to discuss such important meetings using very simple terms before such important events, to discuss what sort of documents can be presented, what could be discussed. This would prepare us better, and maybe to organize it in Russian, because unfortunately our region is not very active, and one of the reasons is that we do not have sufficient information, because absolute maximum of information is in English and is being stored in English as well. So it would be good to organize webinars or some sort of meetings in Russian to assist us. And the fact that we can discuss everything here in the language in which we feel more comfortable, like here we do it in Russian, is very important for us. And we could also do it in a more interactive way, not just presentations for 4 minutes, because sometimes it didn't seem to be enough, so that we could discuss particular topics. During these days, we have determined certain areas of interest, like forest management, but my main topic is seeds. It would be interesting to discuss this topic with those who are working in that field, so we could have this thematic division for the people interested in different topics. Thank you so much, Aida.
I will give the floor to participant from Afghanistan, and then we will go to the next agenda item.
Thank you so much again, and good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to thank everyone, and it's really great to be part of this discussion. For the past 2 days, I have learned a lot in my personal capacity, and coming from the context of Afghanistan, I saw how people are suffering or how people are struggling with the climate change issues, and with their daily struggles in terms of how their education, their human right, and their day-to-day life is interrupted by the climate change issues. I think we have heard from different contexts, different communities that the real solutions are on the ground. So I just wanted to share, even though that Afghanistan is not part of the UNFCCC, and they have been excluded from many of the global platforms just because of the current de facto. But when we are seeing that the people, it's not the fault of the people that they are living there, and even though the current ruling is by force, so we shouldn't forget what's happening there. We shouldn't forget the people. We shouldn't forget the work that international organizations have done for the past 20 years. Even though I know that it's really hard, like, to connect or communicate inside the country, but I think there are like many civil society organizations who are working outside of Afghanistan. So they still have active participation inside Afghanistan, who are helping most vulnerable people. So I think it's important to have those voices in these international or these discussions, because many of the solutions, many of the examples that I have heard from many of the other committees, it's really practical, and we can use it in the context of Afghanistan with no resources, with no funding. I think these practical examples can be somehow transferred to the current context in Afghanistan. At the end, I would say, I think throughout different discussions, we have heard the adaptation and resilience, but for many of communities, I think climate change struggle is like a part of their day-to-day life. So it's hard for them to focus on that, because they're already struggling with poverty, with food insecurity, with somehow managing their day-to-day life. So I think educating them and finding some ways to support them is really, really helpful. And at the end, I would say that uh, for me personally, I learn a lot, and I would be taking a lot of good ideas, network from this past 2 days. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy that you have found some practical case studies and that you can use in your community. And we should go to the next agenda item, but before I should say that you still have the opportunity to send your thoughts, to send your reflection to the LCIPP at UNFCCC int. Please do not forget about this opportunity. So next slide, please. So now we go to the model 4, which is input to the global stocktake process through the LCIPP work. Now I will give the floor to
Thank you, the co-chair. So, as you all recall, this is the LCIP framework that we are using, and so right now we're on the fourth module, and so next we have a colleague joining, and they share the global stocktake process. So, I hand over to a colleague online. Thanks.
Next slide, please. Hello, everyone. I'm Lu. I'm from the Global Stocktake team in the UNFCCC Secretariat. Today, on behalf of our team, I would like to give a brief introduction of the Global Stocktake progress. Next slide. So what is Global Stocktake for? It is to take stock of the implementation of Paris Agreement to assess the collective progress towards achieving the Paris Agreement goals. So it has a 5-year cycle. So we have the first GST undertaken in 2023, and we will have the second GST conclude in 2028. And what the second question is, what are discussed under Global Stocktake? The GST process will cover the area of mitigation, adaptation, means of implementation, as well as response measure and loss and damage. It will consider the equity and the best available science. So the outcome of GST will inform party in updating and enhancing their NDCs, their actions and support, as well as enhance the international cooperation, which needs the participation from both parties and non-party stakeholders. So how do we do the global stocktake? So there are 3 components under the global stocktake. So the first one is information collection and preparation, during which we will collect and gather inputs from different sources, include the synthesis report prepared by the secretary, prepared by the constituent bodies, and also the science inputs from like IPCC, and also submission from parties and non-party stakeholders. And the second component is technical assessment, under which we will have technical dialogue facilitated by 2 co-facilitators. And they will also prepare summary reports and overarching synthesis report for after the whole technical assessment phase. So those findings will inform the negotiation on the GST outcome. So the last component is the consideration of output. It is also called political phase by some people. So under the consideration of output, we will have the negotiation on the GST outcome and also some high-level events. Next slide. So here is an overview of the first GST cycle. So the first GST started at COP26 and conclude at COP28. So you could see the three components during the whole progress. We have the information collection and preparation, overlap with technical assessment, and the product synthesis report will be considered for the political phase, and we have the outcome from the consideration of output components, which is the decision 1 CMA 5. So the outcome recognizes the collective progress has been made towards Paris Agreement goal, but it also points out that our efforts are not enough to help us on track to meet 1.5 goal. So the first GST outcome has informed parties to develop their new round of NDCs. And in the GST outcome, we have calls for enhanced ambition and action, and also include some goals and guidance on transition away from fossil fuel, nature and forest production, and sustainability and circular economy, and also on adaptation. So next slide, thank you. Look forward to the second GST, which will start very soon. So it will start this year, November at CMA 8, and it will take 3 years and conclude in 2028. So we will have our informal collection and preparation start this November, and our first dialogue first technical dialogue under technical assessment next June. So during the GST2, we will assess the collective progress on implementation of Paris Agreement, as well as we will assess the implementation of the first GST outcome and identify opportunities for enhancing our climate ambition and actions. So non-party stakeholders, including indigenous people and local community, are always a very important participants during the whole process for supporting the NDC implementation and also GST1 outcome implementation. So throughout the GST2, we are looking forward to your participation and your support for the whole process. Engage with parties in both technical and political phase to facilitate the outcome. So there are several ways you can make contribution and engage in. So the first one is to provide inputs for the GST2. One of them is the synthesis report will be prepared by the facilitative working group, as one of the synthesis report from the constituent body. And also the submission from parties and non-party stakeholder, which will follow the SB chair's guiding question for each components. So after they issue the guiding question, we will call for inputs from party and non-party stakeholder. And also the second is to engage through negotiation and events. You are the observers of negotiation, and also you can participate in the GST technical dialogue and also some relevant events within and outside the UNFCCC. For example, the UAE dialogue on implementing GST outcome, and also mitigation, just transition, and other events. Also, now we have a lot of ongoing work stream, and we hope there are more outputs from those work stream can fit into the GST2, include your Baku work plan for the 2025 to 2027, and also the global action, the climate action agenda, which link party and non-party stakeholder working together on some initiative for global action. Yeah, so that's all for today, and thank you, and we look forward to your participation in our GST2 cycle.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this clear explanation how it going to assess collective progress and implementation of Paris Agreement. And so now, participants, we are, in particular, those who are first time here, you're joining in the very interesting moment. So it starts in November, so I still have time for contribution. So now I'm open the floor for the question, reflections to the distinguished colleagues from the Secretariat regarding the GST, Global Stock Take. Yes, Pema, the floor is yours.
So yeah, I'm Pema from Nepal. My question may not be exactly in the working mandate of GST, but something I wanted to highlight is for this process of new NDCs, I was engaged as one of the leading point from Indigenous Peoples Organization to include Indigenous voices in the NDC preparation process, which initially were not consulted. Indigenous people were not consulted in any of the official consultation led by the government. So it was a very difficult process. And even at the end, some of the very important demands that we were asking to be incorporated in the NDC was not there finally. So yeah, even in the implementation, when the NDC itself does not really talks a lot about indigenous peoples, how, especially within the NDC, when some of the project related to climate action directly is implemented on indigenous territories. So regarding stuffs like this, which includes lack of consultation or exclusion of indigenous people and marginalized people from the NDCs and NDCs implementation, how can GST maybe also think of like expanding their working area, or maybe produce some other documents that could focuses more on those kind of aspects as well? Because even while preparation of NDCs, we were constantly being pushed that NDC only focuses on mitigation, and we cannot include any right-based clauses within the NDCs when we are preparing the NDC. So this was some of the experiences I want to highlight, and if there's anything GST can do on this, thank you.
Thank you very much, Pema, for this very interesting question. Nice that you have the opportunity to raise the question directly to the representatives of Secretariat for these topics. Ms. Lee, please take the floor to answer.
Thanks for the question. So yeah, we have noticed like now, so in the GST1 outcome, the outcome has recognized the importance of like non-party stakeholder, includes indigenous people and local communities. And of course, the outcome encourage parties to consider like cross-cutting issues and also non-party stakeholders in their preparation for the new NDCs. And we have like done some analysis of the new NDC submitted after the GST1 outcome. We noticed like some parties, like they have those participation from like of indigenous people and local communities during their preparation, and also there are also some like doesn't mention about that. So for the GST outcome, it informs party and non-party stakeholder action. For NDC, it's like mainly like by national determined, and different country may have like different practice of how to involve a different group of people. And yeah, so we encourage those like who consider like more stakeholders, and also in our dialogues after the GST, like GST NDC dialogue and also UAE dialogue, we would encourage those countries to share their experience, like how GST outcome inform their NDC development and the NDC implementation. So we like most party acknowledge like this is not a government issue. It needs supports and actions like from the whole society, including like different stakeholders. So for the GST2, we are sure like non-party stakeholder will be a very important will play a very important role during the whole process, because you are the one like close to how NDC implement, like what the practice like on site. So we hope like those information and also the progress like you have made can be the inputs to the progress to show like how important non-stakeholders are working on climate change. And for the next, after the GST2, the outcome will inform parties to updating or like enhancing their action and support. And maybe those ideas can be a start for them to consider what's the new elements should be included in their NDCs. Yeah, we hope the process can like promote the exchange between parties and non-party stakeholders to like share the information together and to do the assessment of this information, and which will lead to a more comprehensive NDC development and also implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee, for your very, very clear answer and clear explanation of this very difficult process, in my opinion. So now, do we have any other question? Yes, Rodney.
Good afternoon. Everyone is sleepy. My question is, what key lessons from the first global stock take regarding the integration of indigenous peoples and local communities' knowledge and lived experiences have been addressed in the most recent GST cycle, and how have this been reflected in its outcomes? We know this April, the recent cycle has been completed. So that's my question. What are the lessons learned, the challenges, and how was it addressed to be integrated in the recent GST? Thank you.
Ms. Lee, take the floor.
For the question,
The
yes,
question lesson learned from the first global stock take in regard of indigenous peoples and local communities. Am I correct, Rodney? Yes.
yes, thank you for the question. I will just like from the first GST cycle, like in the outcome, you can see like the outcome recognize the importance of of indigenous people, and also it encouraged the like knowledge and capacity building and like actions from the indigenous people. So after the GST1, the relevant outcome were implemented through the work stream under the UNFCCC Secretary and also outside the UNFCCC. Yeah, so for the GST2, now we are still at the early preparation for GST2 cycle. And in the information collection phase, we will gather more information of how like GST1 outcome are followed up and how they what's the progress of the of those work stream. And yeah, that will be one of the inputs for GST2. And then we will have the technical assessment for those inputs. So I know like maybe some of our colleague like work in the other secretary on site in your meeting room can also give some like insights on that, who are following up on the specific.
Thank you. Thank you, Rodney, for the question. The next segment of this module 4, we will have an opportunity to go into small group discussions to actually discuss exactly what you raised and also the question that was raised earlier. Just to add to what my colleague mentioned, your question of how or what the challenges and the priorities that raised by indigenous peoples and local communities, how are they addressed? One of the things to note is in the global stocktake process to look at the collective progress, there was a mandate from CMA1 decision 19 CMA1, inviting the constituted bodies like the FWG to provide input. And so what the FWG did to facilitate, in order for the challenges and the priorities to be addressed, first there has to be sort of a comprehensive understanding of what the challenges are and what are the priorities are. To facilitate that understanding, the FWG put together a synthesis report. But of course, this is the first global stock take, and it was, as my colleague mentioned, there is a lot of opportunity to learn how to enhance that. So what I wanted to highlight a couple of things is, one, in the first global stock take, to engage the views of indigenous peoples and local communities, there were a number of global, the World Cafe designed, and there were dedicated tables for indigenous peoples and local communities to articulate what their challenges are. And some of those were then captured in the synthesis report, also my colleague mentioned, to as input to the GST. But that input was somewhat limited because it was the first global stock take, but also for the FWG, it was the first effort to enhance that. But what you've shared here, 40 plus case stories, and the discussions we will have after this will feed into that. And hopefully next time when you ask the same question, hopefully there's a lot more satisfactory answer to that. So with that, I hand the floor back to you, Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Thank you, Chad. And of course, thank you, Rodney, for your question. And so now we have very smooth assemblies transferred to the next slide. I mean that right now we will make a small group discussions and discuss how FWG can make input into the next global stock take. May I have next slide, please? So through the group discussions today, you will have the opportunity to provide input into the next GST, Global Stock Take. You should have received a template with some suggested guiding question in your emails. We request you to self-organize into 4 small groups. I mean, we have 4 corners, and this is the opportunity to comfortably discuss in language that's comfortable for you. And I guess that we have enough space in this room. So please choose a moderator and rapporteur. It may be 2 different people because one can moderate, another can make notice, but it's for your choice. The moderators are encouraged to use guiding question in the template, and the rapporteurs are requested to take running notes and then help collate 4 or 5 key messages from the group. Moderator or rapporteur will be invited to provide brief 4 or 5 minutes report back on the discussions in their group. Reporters are requested to send the filled out template to LCIPP at UNFCCC.int. So now, please choose the corner.
Yeah.
Yes, chat.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Knowledge holders, so what you will see that my colleagues will email you, message you the template for the small group discussions. I wanted to quickly just kind of mention there will also be printout, I believe, in each of the group. What you'll see on that document, page 1, there are the 3 functions of the LCIPP. And then on the second page, what we have put in there is the decision that CMA1 or decision 1 from the CMA, which specifically lists what are going to be the sources of inputs. So we have captured the text there as it appears in the decision for your reference. So when you're discussing, if you're looking at NDCs, as many of them mentioned, if you're looking at adaptation, looking at technology, etc., we have the language there for your reference. And then the next page, you will see there are 4 guiding questions. So we appreciate if the facilitator could engage everyone to respond to these questions. and there's a note template, as Madam Co-Chair mentioned. At the end of that, you will have an opportunity to report back in the plenary, but at the same time, we would also encourage you to submit the completed template so that this will inform the FWG synthesis report as input to the GST. Yes.
So it means that they will discuss, but report back after the coffee break.
So everyone, the Russian-speaking group is in the back, where Slava is.
This is English.
No, that's what it is.
English.
So you have 4 groups, Russian, English. If they want to organize here, that's fine. It's supposed to be 4 groups. 1 Russian, 3 English. So, hello everyone. If may I have your attention, please? For the Russian-speaking group is in the back where Slava is. Slava, the FWG member, I understand there are a number of them. And then English group 1, English group 2, and the English group 3, where Kitisak is, I believe, or in the back. And just to note, this discussion will go up until 3:30. We then have coffee break, and when you come back, that will be when the report back takes place. Thanks so much.
No, I think. Okay. Okay, yeah. More coming. You can stay here and also.
I hope that everybody now have their group. Please have a fruitful discussion and be ready to report at 4 after the coffee break. For the impact of Iraq, what kind of constitution? Because in order for them to say whether they are what are the electoral questions? Yes, there's the platform. Keep it brief. Calculating what is the purpose? What is the function?
I just like shortly mention that based on my experience in the campus of from which go and visit like different villages just to share experience, but the communities also to learn from others because of the climate change affects people differently in different regions depending on which seasons they are, what kind of infrastructure they are using. But for example, do they have like more from land, how well knowledgeable are it? So they mostly also when they also other methods. So they just create a community of like support, they share where they go, and to also learn from others how they can common. That's like really practical, and also they don't need like more resources or funding. They just use like whether like they have like continuously going from one language to another, whether those creating budget costing like then they facilitating question learn knowledge. This is excellent share experience or between the village between the knowledge keepers something like this. Yeah, like more collaboration because yes. Yeah. Share like this practice. Yeah. And this is something like more traditional way, yes, because like the people they have to be there on the street now that even though like in the modern side sometimes like local work, but the experience of people growing the land, the weather, but last thing that work.
There are a lot of events parallel with LCIPP. So we have the DNA for Article 6 we have. Okay. No, I mean like just have one that we can use the list. List of events of climate.
We put it in 13. Regional gathering, by the same time, we're almost like organizing 13 of the stuff. Because if you think about it, the God and that animals are roughly and people protect them. So you have animals, you have fish. The animals, if you think of the country with the forestry, then then this whole group discussion was moderated.
In the forest one, they realized that we actually are not holding made in the yes. Like it was only our mostly our participants and Zambia from the
Exactly.
and that was also during the that we should use this more to make the room open.
So, and for the text was way to moderate. So, for your government, the moderation for table, the event which so they inviting the moderator, he said we can't see that table for the for example, contribution for people and also sometimes share so people can
Why do you invite us as moderators? So what is the nature of this?
So when they were designing the event, because this is every event is and also just to make this a dialogue, not affected by people like that. And that's the this argue with the SDGs. So when they were designing the event, they have to get approval from the chair. So one of the things, they have dedicated tables, they have engagement of the also system. And they ask for the appropriate to have epic groups moderate. You are the body to engagement. As a NP chair, one like that. So now they're inviting the moderators. Otherwise, while we say moderators, the agreed by the chair.
I think it's amazing how flexible we are. I mean, all people new in the frequency process. Because everything has changed so quickly. And you, yeah, but you still has to quickly function. I think it's really good.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I mean, like you arrive, you know the time vacancy, you should make certain tasks using the time. With everybody. I really, it's already, now it's changed. My congratulations to the first English group that have already done this job. I would like to kindly remind you that only you are between you and your coffee break. So, and we will start our report back at 4. I mean, 16:00. Dear friends, before you leave the room for the coffee break, please make sure that you have reporter who is ready to make report back at 16:00.
Hello, everyone. If you can come back, we will get started momentarily. That goes to Madam Co-Chair as well. Oops.
What happened there?
Dear participants,
Also, Madam Co-Chair, just when you speak, the probably mic is too far, so volume is very low. So if you could like.
who can hear me? Raise the hand. Nobody hear me. Yes, Paulina, you are queen. You are double queen for today because you were on time. You was on time and you raised the hand. Once again, who can hear me? Raise the hand. Cool. Okay. So, Russian-speaking group, is your reporter in the room? Cool. У нас здесь переводчики. Мы выслали наш ноутс в группу.
We have sent our notes to the group, to the general chat, so that the interpreters could be aware of the contents.
Speaking group for sending notes to interpreters. It's really smart decision because it means that your ideas will be interpreted in a very correct way. Because sometimes we speak very quick or maybe with accent, etc. So it means that something can be lost during the interpretation process. So thank you very much, Russian-speaking group. I see 2 English-speaking group. Please confirm me somehow that your reporter is here. Yes. But the second is there, and you are the first English-speaking group. So your reporter is here. Oh, that's cool. Once again, if you want to have a really good interpretation, please send it like previous group to the WhatsApp to chat. English-speaking group that was advised by Kitty Sack. Is your reporter here? Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. The third English-speaking group is people mostly from the Eastern Europe. They have a great jet lag now, like me. So we are almost sleeping. So thank you very much for your inspiring reflections because it make me not wake up, make me wake up. So we still waiting them. Please type your friends, your colleagues that we should go back in the room to start. Oh, first dancer is here. Just kind reminder that I told that the last group or last person will dance. Okay. She said okay. Are your interpreters or reporters here? Okay. Okay. As we have a lot to do for today, so let's do not waste the time and we will not wait other participants. And I invite Anna. If anyone want to volunteer and to start and be the very first person in this room. Cool. Russian-speaking group, I'm so proud of you. My God, they have youth representative. What's the smart decision? Вот тут микрофон использую. So now I give the floor to Vyacheslav Taryashinov, who is youth leader from Buryatia, which located in Siberia in Russian Federation.
Good day to you, everyone. And we're ready to answer to our questions. And first of all, I would like to say that I will speak in a Russian language, so you should put your headphones on. Так, отвечая на первый вопрос, хочется сказать то, что хочется сказать про сохранение традиционных практик и традиционного образа жизни. Также хочется упомянуть традиционную экологическую этику, принципы и взаимоотношения с природой. Культурная связь, устойчивое экологическое поведение, мониторинг и документирование на основе сообществ. Важным принципом является не брать больше, чем нужно. Также передача знаний с помощью практик от старшего к младшему. Важно упомянуть про приоритет остаться на своих территориях и адаптироваться к новым условиям. Также важно сказать про ранний мониторинг окружающей среды и проблем, информирование и коллективные методы для решения самими коренными народами, практики ведения сельского хозяйства, растениеводства, животноводства и собирательства полностью устойчивыми методами. Также практики высокой адаптативности к изменению климата, социально-культурным изменениям. Ну и заканчивая отсюда, переходим ко второму вопросу.
Sorry. For those who need English interpretation, the channel was changed. So what's the smart? Oh, the second smart table.
Well, I have to repeat. Yes.
Please raise the hand if someone need Slava to repeat. Oh, it's okay.
It's okay. I can repeat. It's good. So next to the second question. Отвечая на второй вопрос, хочется сказать про...
Answering the second question, we'd like to mention the adaptive practice and different species, alter adaptation of the local seed bases to the new conditions. It's worth mentioning the recultivation of lands and planting new trees. Would like to say that we have new fish species in the Amur River, and it is impossible to adapt it to the wildlife of the indigenous peoples of the Far East, but it is used by industrial companies. And I'm concluding answering to the second question, moving now to the third one. Here, we'd like to state that the climate change consequences are funded, but there are no prevention funding. So we need also that, and we need direct funding to indigenous people. Unfortunately, this is not the case as of now. And also bank loans for these purposes. There is an opinion that the climate change is a myth, and traditional knowledge is just pure fairy tales. So the financing of information work should be very important, unless it doesn't exist so far. It is important to recognize the existence of the traditional knowledge we also lack the scientific research of the traditional knowledge, and so the funding sometimes can be very limited, and there is target regional and federal financing for the consequences of the climate change. For example, we have we have been witnessing too little funds and lack of equipment. And when we get equipment, it sometimes cannot be used under the local conditions in the mountains or swampy areas. And again, there's no financing for the new conditions in view of the climate change and the soil change. Also, the raising the awareness of the climate change consequences through specific documents. Sometimes it happens that there are bureaucratic barriers as to agreeing all the interests and sometimes different statistics from different government agencies and the representation of indigenous peoples in working groups locally, regionally, and on the national level for the adaptation program. So this concludes these answers to the third question. Let's move to the fourth question. Integrated participation of local communities and integrated indigenous peoples and participation of all the parties involved of different genders in the local authorities, and also engaging the scientific community, developing measures to prevent the consequences, considering specific conditions, swampy areas, mountainous regions, etc. Replanting or reforestation, taking into consideration the existing ecosystem, implementing the principle of three preliminary informed consent, also raising funds for scientific research and implementation of these research data to practices, participation of the local community in the auditing and reporting, efficient documenting and coordination between different government authorities and coordination and agreement between them, and also data transparency for the population and free access to these data as well as their integration. Thank you for your attention.
To kindly remind to next reporters that you have only 4, maximum 5 minutes because we have a lot of things to do to the next agenda items. So now I invite this table. Please be as time effective as you can.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alfian, the representative from this group. So actually, I will highlight 5 things that we have been discussed, especially on the group. The first things about the funding mechanism toward the indigenous people. First, we highlight that there is a limited window for indigenous people directly to get the fund, where there will be like a window that being monitored by the governments that also limited. As the example in the Bangladesh, the government monetize the funding that deliver on the local people, which mean make the funding is not is restrictable. And at the same time, also even there is a funding against the mechanism is very hard. The accreditation is very hard to access for the indigenous people itself. So I think that is the problem when it comes to funding mechanism for the indigenous people. And the second thing, there is a lot of the false consultation toward indigenous people and the limited recognition for indigenous people, which leads indigenous people don't have any more power or more obligation, especially on the intervention toward the legal through the regulations and etc. And then also we also have there is a like disconnect the state with the indigenous knowledge and stakeholder processings, where we seek that there is must a dedicated seat in the GST processes for the indigenous people, and there is be connect the people and the constituency processing with more driven processings, not on the donor processings. And we also see that all the climate processings right now, especially from the state's perspective, are more on the false solutions, where it's not on the community-based solution, also not look indigenous people perspective and knowledge into consideration. As the example, like on the Nepali governments, they mentioned about they submitting the NDC for last year, where the government puts the local, the NGO to put more works on the carbon, but they only contribute only less than 0.002%. So it's become question as well how indigenous people are the one being responsible for the one for the mistake that even is not come from the indigenous people itself. And then um, and also when it comes to the climate change spaces that we have a lot of the technicality word that had been used, but at the same time that there is we need more focuses, especially on what community are really facing, not only in the determine of the use of the technicality, but also that we must also reflect that how lab experience and lab reality happen in the ground, not only on the paper itself. And the things that another the things that need to be highlighted that about there is another best practices that we highlight about how the coalition is works, where we collaborate between the indigenous people and the NGOs GSO to creating more powerful consultation toward the government, especially to make more intervention as, on the consultation process and on the legality process. And then what else? Yep. Uh,
Thank you so
I
much.
think that's all for me.
Yes. I would like to kindly remind you that you can and, send your notes to the secretariat, to the email. So now the floor is yours. So you have 4, maximum 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Anna, please go.
So for the first question, we talked a lot about specific practices, but to summarize, we highlighted the sharing of resources and collaboration between local communities. Mm, and also like visiting communities and collecting lived experiences, because they are the ones who experience climate change firsthand. And for the second question, like what are the adaptation efforts and priorities in our communities, we also shared a lot of different techniques. For example, ice to to pass ice to pass. Sorry, but basically, the root of it all is nature-based solutions, and the main challenges in accessing funds, and we also talked a lot about how they can be resolved, were the application processes for funds, for example, banks, like social cooperative banks, it's not really inclusive and sometimes not accessible to local communities or indigenous communities. So we talked about the maybe delegates or people who are selected to help with the applications, and also simplifying the application processes and using like simpler language, and also maybe regional languages, because many indigenous communities have regional languages and maybe not speak the national language even. And also um, for the representatives from communities to open a dialogue with directly with the funding bodies, so that we can help them understand how their funds can better go directly to the communities in need. Um, and Another challenge that we talked about is kind of in relation with corruption, um, basically the manipulation of funds on a governmental level. And for this also it would be important that communities directly receive the funds, or for the communities to um, um, do to engage in local activities, or like locally solve the problems. What does successful and just climate action look like? Um, well, basically, it is when the policies are um, realized, and they not only exist on paper, and also um, from our previous answer, so inclusive and accessible application processes, and communication between the communities as well, but also with the funding bodies and the government.
Thank you so much, Anna. Please do not forget to send your notes to the secretariat, because I'm addressing to all participants. All your contributions are essential. So now the last but not the least. Yes.
Thank you. I think regarding to the response to the first question, that how local communities and indigenous peoples are responding the knowledge on the base of the local knowledge, that the one of them is the local community and indigenous people, they observe and forecast the weather based on the birds voice, window, and also the cloud systems. So that's the knowledge that have with the local community. And also the indigenous peoples and local community, they have a knowledge on how to manage the natural resource, water and land sustainability, with the sustainable practices. And there are many the methods and ways on the sustainable management of the resources. And there is also the system to transfer the knowledge from generation to generation. The local knowledge or traditional knowledge is not created by the one generation. It has transformed from one generation to another generation. And there is also the good practice of the management of the medicinal aromatic plants, trees, foods, and even the water system as well. So I think this is the to response to first. Then in the second is about the adaptation effort, that there are the local community and indigenous peoples are the adapting through the solar energy system. And they have also the solar energy or eco-friendly economy system, also eco-economic system. And there also they have the traditional seed preservation method or traditional food preservation methods. They don't use the chemicals or pesticides, other methods like refrigerator or others, but they do have their own food preservation methods, which can prolong long time. And similarly, they have the knowledge on the how to manage the water holes, the water resources, and they know the what plant can help to the regenerate water system also. That's the knowledge has the local level. And they in the local level they have the diversified food systems, food from agriculture, food from the forest, and food from the water resources. So they have the diversified food system, not like a KFC has a one menu, single menu, but the local community and indigenous people, they have the diverse food system. So, what challenge that local community and the indigenous people face? That is, one is the limited the information and access of the indigenous people and local community to the climate finance. And there is also there is not any dedicated the fund mechanism for the local community and indigenous people, so that the local community and indigenous peoples have very difficult to compete with the giant INGOs or other organization to receive such kind of the funds. That's the challenge getting finance. And there are some policy barriers to access the fund by the LCIPP, because some local community and indigenous peoples are organized, self-organized, even informal, even they don't have any bank account system, any formal structure, because they are the traditionally organized system. They don't, some policies, they need to have this audit report or the annual report and so blah, blah, blah. And because of that, that barrier for the local community, indigenous people to access the fund. And there is no the direct mechanism for the climate change solution to enhance the local community and indigenous peoples. I think this is, let me go quickly. Then, okay. So then what will be the practical solution? We are asking for the localize the information system, their information on the national or local language about the financing system, so that the LCIP can in that process. And also they need to have the practical of the implementation of the full and effective participation of local community and indigenous peoples on the policy process, and also the implementation. And they need to have a simplified mechanism, not only writing the log frame proposal or something like, but how the local communities, indigenous peoples, even they can apply by video, by telephone, by call. They need to have the very simplified system. And just let me go. Then we are demanding for the dedicated the climate finance mechanism for the local communities, indigenous peoples, women and youth, so that they can access easily. The final, okay, in transition, the one is the any policy from local to national level, they should recognize the role of and the right of the indigenous and local communities, and stewardship and the secure tenure rights, gender balance, and they need to have the open governing system, open information system, where these all the LCIPP youth women can access the finance information. I think I will stop here. If I miss something, then my group will put, yeah, and also compliment here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's great. So now let's go to the next agenda item. I understand that after having a coffee break, it's maybe very difficult to focus. However, transferring to the next agenda item, we should do some exercise. But before, let's go to the next slide. May I have next slide? So now model 5, impact of the LCIPP work. So we finished with the GST, so it means the global stock take, but how we, like a body, like a platform, can make it in the very structured way. So we're trying to do that, but how good? Oh, maybe bad. We're doing that. For that, we have discussion in the next agenda item. Let's go to the next slide. But before we go to the small group discussions, what we need to a little bit deepen into the topic, because we need some background to discuss it. So with that, I invite Chad from the Secretariat to give us a little bit more information for the next round of discussion.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Hello, everyone. So in the next couple of minutes, I wanted to recall some of the content we shared, but to dive a little deeper, to give you some context as you discuss what is or what you want the impact of the LCIPP work to be. On the screen, what you see, it's as I presented on day one, COP21 established this platform, the local communities and indigenous peoples platform. And as shown on the screen, it is for the exchange of experiences like you're doing here in this room, but across the Climate Week. And also sharing practices related to climate mitigation, adaptation in a holistic and integrated manner. And I think wanted to draw your attention to the words holistic and integrated manner. So this is where the platform was created. And if you go to the next slide, these are the three functions. Wanted to redraw your attention to this, and I understand that I'm repeating the content that was presented on day one, but I think it's worth our while to spend a little time here. Function one is knowledge, the exchange of experiences and best practices, but taking into account the free, prior, informed consent of the holders of such knowledge. On day one, we had the pleasure and honor to have the wisdom holder from Thailand to conduct the ceremony. That in and of itself is a transmission of knowledge, and which we appreciate. Function two is related to capacity building. As we are sharing these ways to engage and the UNFCCC process, this is building your capacity. Compare with your day one here and now. I hope you all have a better understanding of what the process is and how you can engage. But the capacity building is there's a unique aspect of the capacity building in the context of the LCIPP, because across the UNFCCC process, you often hear this phrase of capacity building, and oftentimes it is building the capacity of participant in a way that they can engage in an informed way. But in this context, it's not only building the capacity of indigenous peoples and local communities that you represent, but it's also building the capacity of parties, constituted bodies, as you've done over the last couple of days, as well as other relevant stakeholders, to say how to engage with the knowledge of indigenous peoples and local communities, understanding there are cultural protocols, sensitivities to be aware of, but also to engage with the platform which is yours, the local communities and indigenous peoples platform. And then the third function is, as I mentioned on day one, all of this is not an end in and of itself, because exchanging knowledge towards what? Building capacity towards what? And the third function then brings that together to say how to incorporate all this diverse and rich content into informing not only the development, but the implementation of climate policies and actions. And when you look at the third function in the text itself, it also says to share this in a way that can help enrich and promote the ambition in the NDCs. We heard quite a few knowledge holders presented or raised questions that NDCs does not reflect the knowledge of indigenous peoples and local communities, and you have an opportunity to share that, which by the function of the LCIPP is supposed to promote enhancing the ambition across the NDCs. So that's the three functions. If we go to the next slide, these are the 6 collective approaches. Again, we presented this on day one, but I wanted you to take a closer look because the thing is, in this module, when you're discussing what is the impact of the work of the LCIPP, you have to understand what is the work in the first place in order to understand what is the impact of that work. And what you see on the screen is the 6 collective approaches. And the first one is gathering of knowledge holders, like you're doing here. We do also the facility working group also convenes or conducts annual gathering of knowledge holders at the global level. That is done in the context or in conjunction with the session of the COP. And on the screen, what you see is this function, the collective approaches 1, 2, 3. 1, gathering of knowledge holders. 2, engagement at the regional level. And the 3, annual gathering of the annual 7 generation roundtable. What you see on the screen are the pictures from various events and gatherings. And what I wanted to invite you to do is, as you look at these pictures, I want you to see not only the assembly of individuals, but I would invite you to also think of the stories they bring, the confluence of ideas, knowledge, wisdom that they bring together, as you have done here. This is important because as you reflect on what is the impact of the LCIPP or what can be the impact of LCIPP, I invite you to consider the multidimensional aspect of the LCIPP work. Again, it's really not only bringing people together, but also bring together different value systems, knowledge systems, ways of understanding. That is important because that then informs the UNFCCC process. Not only inform, but gradually transform the process. And if you look at the COP and CMA decisions, you see that there are terms, there are recognition of values and worldviews. And if you look at the work plan itself, this is the first work plan, as I mentioned, which has a concept of indigenous peoples, the 7th generation principle. But what is that? Every time the phrase has been mentioned, people have to pause and discuss what that is. And I want you to see that. And then finally, if you look at the FW report, which is something I mentioned on day one, they are indigenous concept, and something one of the knowledge holders raised the challenge of language, and in that report it's also raised that challenge of language, because I understand from the Arctic regional gathering, those who are from the Arctic, you have multitudes of words for snow and ice, because you have to understand the seasonality, the texture, the thickness of the ice in order. That's way of life. However, when that is translated into English, it's snow or ice. The cultural depth, the ecological knowledge that is encompassed in that word evaporates because it's reduced to a language. So it is through the work of the LCIPP that those type of understanding and the depths are once again being shared and made aware of. So when you're looking at these pictures, I want you to, again, not only see that there are individuals standing together, but the stories that they represent, the worldviews that they bring. And we can go to the next slide. What this represent is looking at the 6 collective approaches. These are the mandated deliverables as they appear in the work plan. But what I wanted to highlight to you is the column on the left. These are collective approaches 1, 2, 3, which I just presented. This is facilitating the sharing of knowledge practices. And on this side of the column, you have collective approach 4 and 5. The sharing is not just among indigenous peoples and local communities, but to inform the work of relevant bodies and the constituted body across the UNFCCC. That's collective approach 4. But again, then this is a party-driven process, and there are climate policies and actions being formulated and implemented. That is party-driven. So collective approach 5 focuses on how to enhance the engagement of parties, which we have some in the room today. Now what I wanted to direct your attention, which is relevant to this module, is the final column there looks at FWG Review 2027 and the questions and the module that we will discuss next, the impact of the LCIPP work. If we can go to the next slide. This is the timeline, or this is the life story of the LCIPP. It was created back in 2015, and as we fast forward here in 2026, we gather here at the Biregional Gathering. And in 2027, seemingly far away, but it's actually next year, the FWG will be reviewed. The COP will review the FWG, I should say. But that is done through the SPs. What that means is the session in June next year, the substaff will review the FWG's work and then put forward a draft recommendation and draft text, decision text for consideration and potentially adoption by COP27. But in order to meet that timeline, the report and the development of the work plan has to happen this year. So therefore, you are meeting in an opportune time. What you discuss here, what the wisdom you share will inform those. So if we go to the next slide. Again, this is the timeline and the implementation of the LCIPP work plan, Baku work plan is 2025 to 2027. And what you see there calls on two things. One is looking at the review that takes place at COP27, but done so through the June session. And once my colleague click again, what you will see is the elements. So what will be reviewed? As the base of the review, there will be a report. The FWG will prepare a report, and in that report, it will talk about what is the outcome of the FWG work, number one. Number two, Baku work plan, there are 6 collective approaches with a lot of deliverables. What has been done? And this is one of the mandated deliverables, and the report from that will feed into that FWG report. On top of that, it also asks the FWG to prepare a draft work plan for the LCIPP for 2028 to 2031. We heard many knowledge holders spoke about the need to focus on language, the cultural heritage. Tomorrow, you have an opportunity because collectively you help to co-create the work plan. You can provide ideas, and there's a call for submission for your view. So we invite you all to respond to that call for submission to say what ideas should be in that work plan. What should be the focus of the 4 year of that work plan? And my colleague has clicked again. So that's where the work plan comes in. But the work plan, we will talk tomorrow. Today, there are 2 call for submissions, as you see on the screen. The call for submission that is relevant to the next module that you will be breaking into small group discussions is about the impact of the work of the LCIPP. And the deadline for that submission is November 1st. So what we wanted to do is invite you to go into small group discussions to discuss. There's a template with discussion questions, and we invite you to discuss this and then happen. So Madam Co-Chair, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shad. So now we have 2 options. You are ready with all this information, or your head is ready to break up, to break. Okay, so now about the exercise that I told before. Please raise the hand those who are on the LCIPP event for the very first time. Okay. So now exercise. These people, please go to this side. Other who are more experienced, please take this side of the room. Then the second step in this exercise is to split by language, because you need to discuss a question. We have prepared it in Russian and English, so it will help you to somehow be oriented. Okay. So I see that this is new participants with English language, new participants with Russian language. Victor, you are too experienced to be on this side. I guess you too, please go to this side. Aida, please join this group. Choose the table. I guess that you are English speaking, so maybe you will join this table. Okay, once again, this side for the for knowledge holders who are not familiar with LCIPP. So this side. This is English speaking table, Russian speaking table. Those who are familiar with the LCIPP and their work, please go to this site. Yes. Oh, I see. Everybody is. Everybody waked up. So now, if you have already took your seats, if you all can speak English, you can sit on one table, no problem. Okay, you know they're so experienced. No barriers, no language barriers, knowledge barriers. Cool. Thank you, Supriya. Dear knowledge holders, if you see that your table or your group is too big, you are free to split, but you look awesome together. So now to the question. First question for knowledge holders who are not familiar with the work of the LCIPP. What has been your experience this week in engaging in the LCIPP Biregional gathering and other climate week activities? Why does such engagement matter? Second question. What impact would you like the work of LCIPP to achieve? So this is all your ideas, what you want to see on this platform based on 3 days experience. So questions for the knowledge holders who are familiar with LCIPP work. What have been the impact of the work of the LCIPP for last years? What would you recommend that LCIPP do differently or do more of, or strengthen the impact of its work? And I see that Supriya gave the templates with question. You also have this question in your mailbox. So now you have 30 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes before, and I will remind you about the time. So it's gonna be the fun video, yeah? I kindly ask to choose moderator and reporter in all your groups. Dear participants, you have 20 minutes left.
No, only for just transition web program, not possible. For now, finalized, and only those people can be logged in. I think that needs to be mentioned because if people show up at the entrance, which is but it's okay. Loud. Ah, yes, closing time. That I'm sure.
You have 10 minutes left. We started at 4:50. At 5:20, speakers from groups are invited to take these seats to report and to have maximum 4 minutes for their reporting. You have 7 minutes left. У вас есть еще 7 минут для обсуждения. In 2 minutes, I invite speakers from experienced group to the standing mic to report back. In 1 minute, we will start a report back. And I kindly invite speakers from the group with knowledge holders who are familiar with LCIPP to start the reporting. Dear participants, so it's 5:20. First speakers, please take the standing mic.
I am so clueless.
You have 4, maximum 5 minutes.
Okay.
If less, it's better.
Yeah. If I make it less, I'd make a career for rapping. Anyway. Yeah, so we are the group that has been engaging in the LCIP in the past few FWGs in the past. That did not make sense, but we have experience, or we're familiar with the work of the LCIP. So for this group, the impact of the LCIP is that it creates a formal platform of indigenous peoples and local communities to participate, and it can also brings in funds knowledge holders to participate in these processes. But in terms of the negative impacts, it is merely consultative, considering that it is a technical body, but it also produces knowledge of production. It also produces knowledge documents like audio-visual productions, videos, and yeah, the seventh generation roundtable discussion is also a great impact in the world of the indigenous peoples and local communities. So moving over to the recommendations, to have more local communities representation and organized capacity building for local communities, and uh, for the LCIP to have more power, shifting away from its consultative nature, leaning more into how to further influence states to really become a decision maker or be involved in the drafting of the decisions. And another recommendation is to increase the role of the LCIP to the subsidiary bodies, have seats inside the negotiation tables, or create a subsidiary body on indigenous issues, referring and exempling the Article 8J of the CBD, or at least a working group. And yeah, for knowledge transfer, include LCIP in curriculums for more knowledge awareness, and for the LCIP to have a seat again in the negotiation as knowledge holders for traditional knowledge that should be fully recognized as science. So that's it. Okay, we're done.
Thank you very much. So now, are you ready? Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Firuza from Uzbekistan, and I'm here as an observer. It's an honor to present all the shared backgrounds and insights from my group. So I'm going to start with question number one. Our experience was engaging, but not in the way that I initially expected and we initially expected as a whole group. Rather than feeling like an open grassroots dialogue, it often felt like a structured and somewhat imposed forum, which was earlier suggested and mentioned during the discussions. While there were many moments of sharing, especially when participants spoke about their struggles, these exchanges didn't really translate into deeper dialogue as we expected. So instead of deep interactions, it sometimes felt like parallel conversations rather than true exchange where voices were presented but not fully integrated. So this contrast is exactly what we made by the experience of engaging. It revealed tension between intention and reality. Yet, we were very grateful for the organizers which hosted this event, and we all agreed that this is the correct forum, that we all gathered under one umbrella to share our vulnerable insights, and we are very grateful for it. And when it comes to the question number two, what became very clear is that there is a gap, especially in implementation. We had a lot of suggestions by our members of the group. Despite important discussions, several issues limited real impact. Funding was limited, and we had the suggestion from a member from Pakistan that during the next forum, it would be amazing to co-create an artistic program where we make it more engaging with the members, and it does not limit us at the discussion level only. There is no hesitation or lack of capacity to apply funding. Outcomes are often not translated back into local or national contexts, and the agenda can feel top-down, which was mentioned earlier from the member of Georgia, rather than created. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your input. So last but not the least, Russian speaking table. Yes.
Please, minute.
He's 4 minutes. He's losing 1 minute. No, that's 3.
You can speak both English or Russian. We have equipment for interpretation.
Good day to you, everyone. My name is Vyacheslav Teryasnov. I'm from region Buryatia, which is located in Russia. And we are ready with our group to present our answers to the questions. But I will speak Russian, so you had to put your headphones on. Так, отвечая на первый вопрос, хочется сказать,
Answering the first question, we'd like to note that the experience of participating in this event is overall positive. In principle, the indigenous peoples feel the same, and this event gives us an opportunity to find common ground, to find common approaches. All the participants who arrived here, they share their decisions, and then after the discussion, we collect all the decisions, all the solutions, and they can help us with dealing with our own challenges. So we complete our or complement our solutions with the knowledge coming from others. As to why this participation is important, it is because the participation in this event allows us to attract attention to our own regions. Also, it's an opportunity to speak up, to draw attention to our problems, to establish common challenges. Sometimes it happens that the problems are similar, but the solutions could be different. But gathering common knowledge, we can elaborate the most suitable solution, the best solution. And in this event, we've established contact points. Also would like to note our positive experience in expressing our ideas and their further distribution in the media, and the acknowledgement that the reality and interpretation of different laws can differ sometimes. Also, regarding the second question, what impact or desirable impact of this event would be achieved? But before I move on, I'd like to express our gratitude to the organizers, to the LCIPP team, and would like to thank our interpreters separately for their excellent work. And now the second question, what impact would you like to achieve? Access to finance for local communities and indigenous peoples, taking into account local knowledge and sharing it, and translation of the local knowledge to local realities. So we've answered the two questions. I can conclude with that. Thank you very much for listening. Also, about our recommendations. As far as the recommendations go,
Thank you very much. With that, may I have the slide 45? 45 with information how to share your ideas in response to the LCIPP related calls for submissions. Please submit your responses afterwards to submissions info UNFCCC int. There's the slide with email at the previous slide. Yes. Yes. All this information we have on the event webpage. So now may I have next slide? Let's go to the slide of 55. It's too. Okay. So tomorrow our agenda is quite holistic. We will start at 9 in the it will be climate week high level ceremony. We as a group of participants are invited to attend this event, and this is in the auditorium, so this room with red chairs. Then at 10:30 please be on time. We will start our event here, so please be back come back on time. Our plan for today was to make group photo. However, we will remove this action to the day 4. That's why please be prepared for that if you want. After the reflection from day 3, we will have model 6. In this model, we will try to shape the LCIPP work plan for 2028-31. After the very short coffee break, we will discuss collective progress through indigenous values and local realities. In the end of the day, we will have closing remarks. Every member of LCIPP will say closing remarks, and also we are waiting incoming co-presidency. With that, after the group photo, we will close our biregional gathering. However, after 2 p.m., we all have an opportunity to engage in Climate Week activities. As we said before, there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of events. However, there is one event, I mean, 5th dialogue under the Just Transition Work Program. The list of participants for this event is already closed and sent to organizer. Please, if you are not in the list, remember that only approved participants can attend this event. However, you have really interesting events on adaptation finance, climate capital marketplace, presidency youth climate champion, peer exchange workshop on NDC implementation. May I have, yes, we have. Yes, all this list and all the information about the engagement in the climate week events will be sent to your mailbox, so please don't worry, you will have this information. With that, let's go to the last slide for today. Thank you very much for the very productive day. Have a really good evening. Relax and enjoy Korean evening.
May I?
Yeah, yes. Group photo will be is removed for tomorrow.
The knowledge holders, if I may have a minute of your attention, please. Couple of things to note. If I may have your attention, please. Couple of things to note. One, as co-chair mentioned, tomorrow the high-level ceremony is in the auditorium. That is from 9 to 10:30. However, our event started 10:30 here. So please do kindly leave early to be here on time because we do have a tight schedule. As co-chair mentioned, your question about a group photo, there was a group photo scheduled today, but because number of participants are not in the room, so this is rescheduled for tomorrow. That's the second thing to note. And then finally, we didn't have time to go through the slide, but what you will see in the slide deck is how to make submissions. So what you will see is the discussions you're having today and the discussions you will have tomorrow for the work plan. These are responding to calls for submissions. So those slides will walk you through step by step how you can make submissions. So those that you've discussed here, please do document and then submit that as a response to the calls for submissions. So with that, thank you so much and have a lovely evening. Slava and Kitisak, if we can meet you briefly. Thank you very much.
Поздно, да, вы сказали? Вот которая супер уровень, который только поэтому. Да. Который утром? Утром я иду на маркет, вот этот агаса. Какого? Да. Уже нельзя никак не пустить, да? Там Динай был уже. Access to этот. Я когда пыталась зайти, уже там определенное время какое-то было, да? На регистрацию, наверное. Да. Да, я думала, что я зарегистрировалась, а оказывается, не зарегистрировалась. Я зашла и сказали, ну, как бы это.